Let's go to South Korea for 13 days in September 2023. This is my trip back to Korea in over 10 years, so it was extra special to go for my friend's wedding and also travel with my friends who haven't been to Korea before. The flight was around 15 hours direct, and our first meal when we landed was this samgyetang chicken place because it was the only place we could find near our Airbnb at night. The next day we found a brunch place to go to and went right when they opened. We were staying north of the river near Gyeongbokgoong Palace, which is the same as Gyeongbokgoong, because this would be close to my friend's wedding venue. The Dunkin' in Korea was so nice, and like all of their other coffee shops, the Korean coffee culture is insane in the best way possible. We signed up for a walking tour where the guide took us around Seoul City Hall, Gyeongbokgoong, Cheonggyecheon, and Insadong Hanok Village. I think this was at the top of the Seoul Metropolitan Library, and the view of the city was so good, and we were very fortunate to have such great weather during the trip. Here's the new City Hall, which was renovated in August 2012. The new eco-friendly design takes inspiration from the eaves of traditional Korean houses. This is Sejong the Great, the king of Joseon, and he's the inventor of Hangul, which is the native alphabet of the Korean language, and it's written on the side here. The walking tour guide took us also around to show the inside streets of some popular places to go to. I want to get a haircut and perm in Korea, but because I had previously bleached half of my hair, I could only get a haircut. So I'm gonna try to get a perm next time I go to Korea. They provided a drink and some snacks to have during the session as well. This is Samjikgil, which is in Insadong, and there's a bunch of cute craft shops all along the perimeter of the building. There's so much color, variety, and customization that you can do. You can also find both traditional craft and contemporary craft here, and some craft shops also offer craft experiences that you can look into beforehand. And there's also restaurants and galleries within the complex. I just took a video, but there must have been something happening, some sort of launch with celebrities or maybe a K-pop celebrity of some sort. This is Honey Butter and Friends, and there's so many different types of almonds, and there was even honey butter makgeolli, which is kind of like this rice alcohol. Then we went to this restaurant called Myeondong gyoza, and the dumplings and noodles were so good. You order and pay up front, and then the robots help with serving food, so it all seemed like a very efficient process. Myeongdong is one of Seoul's main shopping areas with a lot of stores, so it is pretty busy anytime you go. We went to have some bingsoo at Seolbing. The next morning, we went to this cafe called Cafe Onion. There was a bit of a line, but it wasn't too bad. I really like their milk tea. And the interior of the cafe is really cool because it's a mix of traditional and modern Korean architecture. We walked through Bukcheon village, and one of my friends really wanted to dress up in the hanbok, which is Korean traditional clothing, and take pictures. But it was so hot that day that she decided not to, so here's some footage of other people in the area. We then went to Gyeongbokgoong Palace, and it's closed on certain days, so make sure to check the opening hours before you go. Gyeongbokgoong was built in 1395 as the official palace of the Joseon dynasty. The buildings capture examples of Joseon architecture and different sculpture techniques as well. Inside, there's also the National Folk Museum of Korea, which was really interesting to do a walkthrough as well. We had a quick snack from the mall before getting ready to head over to my friend's pre-wedding dinner at Walker Hill. It had a really nice view of the city. This is the bride and groom. And this is the spread for our Korean barbecue dinner. The service was really good and everything tasted delicious. I should have gotten more videos, but I was too busy enjoying the good food and good company. The next day, we went to the original Pancake house and they had these cute mugs and huge portions of food. This is my haircut. And while my friend group went to Namsan Tower, I went over to my cousin's place to see my newly born twin nephews and my aunt. It was some family time. I thought these were such cool statues. This was such a good waffle. Then we went to see another palace called Deoksugoong, and we got to catch the walking tour inside, so that was very helpful in understanding the different buildings and the layout of everything. This is Dongdaemun Design Plaza. This landmark is the centerpiece of South Korea's fashion hub, and it's a popular tourist destination. Then we went to Kwangjang Market, which I would recommend. It has a lot of traditional Korean snacks and street foods. And there was the place that was featured on a Netflix show called Street Foods, and lots of cute shops that you can shop at as well. We went back to Bukcheon village because it's kind of close to our Airbnb, and I want to look at all the murals on the walls and the buildings. And there was this cute cat cafe and a beautiful view near the top. One thing I would say is there's a lot of steps to get there, a lot of incline. So make sure you stay hydrated, especially if it's a very hot day. One of the things I really wanted to do in Korea was to visit Doobie Dovap's restaurant called Mija. Unfortunately, they have closed since last year, but I still want to include it in this video to remember the dining experience. It was such a well thought out fine dining of Korean cuisine, and it was perfect for my friends who haven't been to Korea before because they got to try everything in small portions. And the alcohol pairing was great as well because it was different types of alcohol from different parts of Korea. As a Korean Canadian, for me, the dishes used ingredients that had such familiar flavors, but it was so cool having it presented in such a unique way. And even though Tina wasn't there, Kevin was there, and he came to our table to explain one of the dishes to us. The restaurant was close to Itaewon, so we went to a bar for some drinks. And I thought this decor with the soju bottles was really cool, and the whole strip was so busy. The next day we went to this cute breakfast cafe near our Airbnb, and they had great food and some cute cats there too. The Starbucks in Korea has so much variety, and this is apparently because in Korea it's run by a different company through some sort of licensing deal. So if you're in Korea, it's worth it to visit Starbucks. Time for the wedding now. We had such a hard time getting an Uber that we barely made it on time for the ceremony. We ended up walking to the venue instead, and luckily we were in walking distance of the venue. I was definitely sad that I missed the pre-wedding ceremony to take pictures with my friend, but I'm grateful that I made it to the ceremony in time. I also love this yellow dress that my friend picked out, and they switched into a traditional Korean outfit as well. And after the wedding, we went to get some cocktails at this fancy hotel bar. Then we had some more bingsoo, walked along the Cheonggyecheon, and had some dumplings to end the day. What more can you ask for? Next morning, we were heading over to Jeju Island in the afternoon, so I went for a quick walk along the Cheonggyecheon, stopped by a Blue Bottle. There's no Blue Bottle in Canada, so I do try to go whenever I'm in the States or somewhere that has a Blue Bottle. They had so many of their products and also Korean snacks like a hotok. And after that, we grabbed some more coffee and went to Gimpo Airport for Jeju Island. Right when you exit the doors of the airport of Jeju, it felt like a tropical rainforest and the air was so much more warm and humid than Seoul was. We got a car to drive to our Airbnb and around the island. We just needed an international driver's license in advance, and other than the speed cameras and the flashing lights, the driving was pretty easy and doable. This was the Airbnb, which was very nice. And we had to get the black pork as our first meal in Jeju. Jeju is the home to a unique breed of domestic pigs called the Jeju Black Pig, which has black skin and is only raised on the island. Then the next day, we went for a walk and run around the area. We saw some lava tree molds and we walked along the water. Another unique thing about Jeju is that there's a community of female free divers called haenyeo, which translates to sea women. Most of the haenyeo still diving for a living are aged between 50 to 80 years of age. And it's so impressive that they're diving 10 meters under the sea to gather shellfish, such as abalone or sea urchins for a living without the help of oxygen masks. Another fun fact, some of the Paradise dates from Season 3 Singles Inferno was filmed in Jeju Island. Then we went to this brunch spot called Witch Hill, and it was where a K-drama called The Witch was filmed. This was a view from the cafe. There was outdoor seating, but it was a bit too hot to sit outside. So while we were waiting for our food, we went outside and just walked around and took some pictures. All the restaurants took a bit of time for the food because they were a one-person run restaurant. Looking back at the shot, I really wish I got my friend's matcha latte. This is the brunch. We were looking for something to do that was somewhat close to the brunch spot, so we went to Sinchang Windmill Coastal Road. There's a view of windmills lined along the road from an offshore wind farm, and the road is well known for its beautiful sunset, so it's a great place to take pictures. And then we went to Osulloc, which is a South Korean tea company that sells premium teas, including green, black, and oolong teas being grown on Jeju Island. And they're also known for their organic properties. The cafe had so many variations of things that included matcha and tea. And in general, Jeju is also known for their tangerines because they're also exclusively grown in Jeju. There's also an Innisfree at the Osulloc, so we got some skincare from there too. We decided to do a seafood place for dinner, and it had a really long name, so I'll leave it in the description below if you're interested. The next day we went to Cafe On, which was located Jeju downtown, for some brunch. And then we went to Hallasan on the Yeongsil Trail. The highest mountain in South Korea, Hallasan, is located on Jeju Island. On all trails, it says that the Yeongsil Trail takes around 6 hours and it's 16.7 kilometers long with around 850 meters in elevation. I'm not sure if we did the full trail, but it did take around 4 hours for us to do the trail. Some fresh mountain water for the hike. On the way down, there was a lot of fog, so it was creating this really cool effect. The trail overall was pretty friendly for beginners, I would say. So check it out if you're in the area, if you're in Jeju. I want to go to Jeju Park, so I made everyone rush over after the hike to fit in one more activity during our time in Jeju. And as you can see, my friend is super enthusiastic about this super jam-packed itinerary that I planned. We did the Jeju Park in like an hour and pretty much got the tickets just before the ticket office closed. The tickets are around $5, I think, and I would say it's worth it just to go for a little bit. It's one more thing that you get to see in Jeju during your visit. And these are stone statues that are pretty well known in Korea, and they're called harubangs. There was this interactive component. We're not really sure what this was, but you wear these rain boots and then walk across the water into the middle of the platform, and we just took a picture there and walked back. For $5, I would say this was definitely worth it. Something to keep in mind when driving Jeju is that the island is not that big to get around, but the speed limits make it so that you'll need to be going a lot slower, so getting around just takes so much longer. Also, you can't really speed up either because there's so many speed cameras everywhere. And of course we had to get bingsoo before we left Jeju because I think, like gelato is to Italy, bingsoo is to South Korea. So you have to have it almost every day if you can. We came back to some rain in Seoul and looked at some more almond flavors on our way to our new hotel that we checked into after we came back from Jeju. I also want to try this from seeing it on Instagram. In Korea, they sell ice in individual containers, and you can pick out a drink that you want and mix it together. There were so many hand-cut noodle places that we were passing by, so we decided for one of our dinners we would go to a hand-cut noodle place, and we found one on Neighbor Maps with a good rating. The next day, one of my friends who works at Crafton gave us an office tour, which was really fun because I got to see how offices in Korea are and what they have for lunch and things like that. This was Lotte World Mall. There was this Kakao friend store where they sell all this cute merch with Kakao characters on them. We got some yagurut from the yagurut cart ladies. And our friend took us to this grilled eel place that was super tasty. It's kind of like Korean barbecue, but it's Korean eel barbecue. One thing I would do differently from this whole trip is just leaving for the airport sooner and having extra Korean wons to get to the airport. Maybe that's two things, but it's kind of like one holistic thing. I think you need to build in a good 4 or 5 hours to get to the airport if you're going to Incheon Airport. I took the bus that goes directly to the airport, but we ran out of Korean wons and money on our transportation card, so it was a struggle to find somewhere to pull money out from and then get on the bus. And then there was traffic getting to the airport. And if it wasn't for my flight getting delayed by over an hour, I probably wouldn't have made it on the flight. But luckily, I did make it. Thank you so much for watching, and if you made it this far, bye for now!